Representative Cory Mills, former sniper in the Army himself, now Congress, he's not having it. He's not having any of this. He wants a J13 investigation into just exactly what went down. Let's watch his exchange. CNN was getting a little annoyed, a little perturbed about this one, but he's bringing up some relatively important questions and not putting the blame on the Trump campaign because you haven't told us whether or not he needs plastic surgery on his ear, for goodness sakes. Shame on MSNBC for addressing that. Let's listen to Representative Mills.
I've done thousands of advances. I've done thousands of counter sniper operations with our teams in Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. The amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here, I have a very difficult time not leaning myself towards this was intentional as opposed to fecklessness.
But wait, talk to me about that. I actually heard you say this right the day after, which I wanted to ask you about. What do you mean intentional? I mean an intentional failure on the part of...
No, I wouldn't say an intentional failure on the part of, but I got to just, I sit here and I scratch my head. You don't want to be the conspiracist. You don't want to be the person.
I'm telling you, because that's what it's leaning toward.
No, I know. And that's the issue, is that you walk this fine balance of, you're not trying to be a conspiracist, but you look at it and you go, how could this have gone so...
But it's one thing if someone on the street says it. It's not that, you, Cory Mills, member of Congress, former sniper, you saying it, it makes my eyebrows go up. When you say you're walking the line on this, intentional what?
It almost seems to me, and I think that an investigation is necessary at this point within Congress, not just the FBI, not just others. I look back at it and I'm thinking, all right, for an individual, if you looked at the escalations and how they are trying to approach him, let's just say that it was like, okay, first we want to censor and silence you, then we want to indict and imprison you. Now we're attempting to kill you and take you off the stage.
Let's slow down.
Please.
I'm hearing two things from you. I don't want to jump ahead of things, but I'm also hearing you jumping ahead of things.
Well, actually, I'm just looking at all the different possible capabilities. One of the things as a military member, one of the things as a person who's run in the special operations communities before, one of the people who's actually done this is that you look at all potential analysis, right?
Donald Trump and his team have said,
no, I agree.
Dial it back. Do not blame this on Joe Biden.
Oh, well, actually, I didn't say Joe Biden, to be completely
Who's the
clear.
they then? Let's be very specific.
Well, that's what the investigation has to do. Was it local law enforcement that had made the mistakes, or was there something to it? Was there other types of things that we need to be analyzing or looking at and providing analysis? My point is that when something's so significant, you're talking about something that hasn't happened in decades, right?
I totally...
But my point is this. From a perspective of someone who's actually conducted these are not difficult advances. This is not like I'm putting together a stage placement in a tight shot. This is about looking at your surroundings. What is my green, yellow, and red route, which is your routes out in case? What is my actual elements that I need to be looking at as far as mitigating threats or risks or increased levels? Where's my range fan for the sniper that says, okay, here's my 100, my 200, my sketch. Here's an area where someone could shoot. Because here's my thing.
So you're
Let's
saying,
just say it's a Royce element.
You are saying this is so basic that how big the screw up was, that's what's leading your brain down this road?
That's exactly right, in a way.
Look.
Wow. Of course, you'd like to think that if anything was an intentional effort, we ought to be able to get it done, right? And this is where the whole Iranian element gets introduced, because the Secret Service was warned that the Iranians were trying to launch some kind of attack on Donald Trump. And so that's now coming into the question as well. And apparently he was told of that on Friday before this event. He had also been warned to be more cautious about the open air events. But listen, if it had been a tricky spot, I think we all would have said, okay, we're going to cut them some slack. But this was not tricky. None of this was tricky. Why did they wait so long? It could just be pure, utter incompetence, proving that government bureaucracy is really the disaster we all believe it to be. But yet simultaneously, we need to do better. For goodness sakes, you got one job at the Secret Service. Your one job is to make sure that the place is safe for the President of the United States. And it just wasn't. I don't care which way you slice this. I realize that the Trump family has been extremely gracious and has praised Secret Service, but I'm not going to do that. Again, you got a job, and your job is to make sure that the place is freaking secure, and you didn't do your job. So I realize Cory Mills is asking some provocative stuff. You need to ask questions, okay? And the questions are not to the Trump campaign, is he getting plastic surgery on his ear? The question is, where the hell was Secret Service? And why didn't they do their job? Mike Johnson announcing, just in, that there is going to be a special committee to investigate all of this. Good. But you know what I fear, guys? You know what I fear? I fear it's more the same old you know what. And I won't say the word, but it's more that. It's more that. Because we've been through this before, and these investigations go nowhere, and there's a lot of pomp and circumstance. And I'm sorry, but this time around, forget the pomp and circumstance. You nearly lost the Republican nominee for president, a former president of the United States. You nearly did. And if it wasn't for the grace of God, we wouldn't have him here today. So pay attention to what Representative Mills is saying. I'm not saying there's any there. It may have just been, we have one incompetent team. But there's no excuse for that either. So fix it. Kim Cheadle, you're done, okay, lady? With all your ladies at the Secret Service, believe me, you have no idea how pro-women I am. I'm actually a feminist in the true sense of the word, because I believe women should be able to do whatever it is that women want to do. And I value staying home with family and kids. There's nothing that comes close to that. Being a mother is everything. You can be a feminist and believe in motherhood, believe in femininity. They've just totally corrupted the use of that word. So I say this as someone who absolutely believes in equality, but I'm also a realist. I'm a realist, right? And you can't have a woman who's 5'4" or 5'5", covering a big guy who's like 6'2". I don't know how tall he is, but he's tall. I'm about 5'7" without heels, and he's a lot taller than me. So you can't, it just doesn't make any sense, right? You need like the big guy, not that one, like a real big guy, young, strong, capable, big guy covering the president of the United States. They should have whisked him right out of there. What was he doing lingering on stage? Getting to talk to the crowd. What was that about? Why didn't they just drag him off like they did with Regan, right? Lickety split, he was out of there. And how did they know that there were no other snipers in attendance? How'd they know it was clear? The whole thing was so darn bizarre. And yet Kim Cheadle, head of the Secret Service, told NBC News, I'm not stepping down. This woman actually thinks she should stay on with her job. She's a real woke lady. She came from PepsiCo, which is all about its wokeness. Indra Nooyi, the CEO over there, they're all about being healthy, even though they sell Pepsi products. Yeah, it's part of the woke thing. Anyway, so this woman, that was her job. And guess who campaigned for her to get her new gig at the White House? Dun, dun, dun! Dr. Jill Biden, because we got to empower women at the Secret Service. And so one of her big claims to fame, Kim Cheadle's that is that she was moving to expand the number of female personnel to 30%. She wanted 30% women on the force. Can I just say, look at the Navy SEALs. There's not one woman in the Navy SEALs. Because you have to be able to pass a certain kind of standard, a physical test, etc. Now, hey, you know what? Maybe they can do the planning and the background stuff. Maybe they can do that, but actually covering the president. This is it's just an abomination. It's really, really frightening. And it shows you not just how vulnerable Donald Trump is, but how vulnerable everyone is. Really and truly. And we need better people doing a better job. A reminder to subscribe, to like, to share. It's really, really important right now.